Okay, welcome everyone. We are here live. I'm sorry for any delays, as usual. We're getting better at this, and welcome everyone to our Torah class, Halachah. This is Halachah number 11, Baruch Hashem, and we have great news. We're doing it live on YouTube as well, and besides Facebook Live, which is a big deal. This is a little bit too shiny, too bright. It's a little bit better. And yes, we're ready to rock and roll. We are ready to rock and roll. Ready to rock and roll. Just going to give people the opportunity to come in. You see on our Facebook Live the web how do you call it? The web page to see us on YouTube. It's actually advertised on our Facebook broadcast right now, so we don't even have to add it in the comments. As we started the Facebook Live, it's already broadcasted. Give me 1 second. And for those of you that are not sure, for those of you that need to know the exact web code, if you're not sure what it is, for some reason, it is youtu.be/J, capitalized U, capitalized F, not capitalized, NN, capitalized I, capitalized, and then not capitalized is ECQFW. That is the YouTube live broadcast on our Chabad YouTube channel. So again, welcome everyone, and we're just gonna make this a little bit more comfortable for everyone. Hope you all hear me, and thank you all for watching. We're going to be learning Halacha again. We had a Halacha class yesterday. Hope you all enjoyed. Those of you that are coming only for the first time tonight. So number one, you could look back at the previous class at your convenience, as well as you can also, we'll give you a few just a little bit of a synopsis of what we spoke about yesterday. And if anyone wants to give comments, ask questions, you're welcome to while the class is going on in the comments below, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook, on our Chabad Facebook page or on our Chabad YouTube channel. You're welcome to ask. We hope to answer you right away on the double, or we will hopefully, if we can't answer right away, we'll answer you right after the class. And you're welcome to also reach out if you have any other questions you don't want to ask publicly. So we were talking about the laws of the laws of a person who is saying blessings and mentioning God's name. And that's what we were speaking about. Welcome all our viewers. So the last thing we will just summarize the last halacha, the last things we mentioned. Point is that it's very important not to say God's name in vain, and it's something that we have to be very careful with, not to just use God's name. There are other sectors which I didn't mention yesterday, that like the Sfardim, that they do mention God's name at times, because that's the way they were accustomed, and for them it's a non-issue. However, it is not. It's not the regular custom. It's not the regular thing to do, and okay. And also when writing, it's also important that you should write it. There's a way it should be written. It shouldn't be written any of God's real names that are used, because it's possibly going to be thrown out and it's disrespectful. So we have to be very careful with that. Someone asked me after the class, what about texting or internet and things like that? What are the guidelines? You should probably think about the reason why we're not meant to do it on a piece of paper, and think how on the internet it could be problematic too. Erasing on the internet, even though it's virtual, there are different discussions about this by the rabbis, but we still try our best to be careful not to write God's name the way it's written, etc., and things like that. So something to think about and be careful about. Perhaps you might say, okay, fine, so I could go to the bathroom and have words of Torah on my phone opened, and that is not appropriate either. Just giving examples that even though things are virtual also has a significance, and it could be problematic as well. We say any bracha. The last thing we finished off saying was any bracha besides the grace after meals. If he's not sure if he said it or not, we say he doesn't have to say it again, because we say bracha safek brachot lakel, that when a person says a bracha and he's not sure if he said it or not, we don't make him go back, because you don't say brachot again. It's problematic to say God's name in vain, like we finished mentioning yesterday, and therefore it's also problematic to because you have a doubt, to say it again. So that's why it's important to be careful not to say the bracha, because you had a question about if you did it or not, to say it again. And that we say besides grace after meals, we say that about all other blessings. You shouldn't say them again, for the same reason, like we mentioned yesterday of above, not to say God's name in vain, etc. We're holding by paragraph 7, and we're holding by chapter 6. We say that a person is obligated to say every day at least 100 brachot. The David HaMelech tikkun this, and David HaMelech, he actually established this. King David instituted this practice, And how do we know this? Remez l'davar, an allusion to this institution of King David says, we find it in Sam and Shmuel. It says, Num hagever hukam al, like it says in the words of man established on high. It says in Shmuel, the prophet, that the words of man established on high. And what is the high? On high, all is gematria, is the equivalent in value of mea of the numerical value of 100. So, being that King David is the one that said that, therefore, we say that he was the one that established it based on that. Then we also have a scriptural allusion. This was just from the Navi, from the prophets, from the actual scripture itself. We see it in the verse. It says, "Va'ati Yisrael ma'ashem lekecha shel me'imach." You God, what it is, you Israel, what does God ask from you? Kim le'iras Hashem, but to fear God. Tikri ma, when we say ma, Hashem lekecha, what does God ask from you? Do not consider it ma. Don't say ma. Don't call it what. In the words mem hey ma elamea, but the actual, it's alluding to the mea, but the actual meaning is 100. Mea Hashem lekecha shel mimach. Hey mea braches shel yiras Hashem labayis, and that's what it means. That it's mea brachot kim yiras Hashem. These 100 brachot is in order to fear Him and to love Him. And that's what it's trying to allude to in the pasuk. And to remember God through the brachot, through the blessings that we bless God. The klalot, the curses in the Mishnah Torah. There are 98 curses in the book of Dvarim, and it says, it says also in Dvarim, and also the illness and any blow that is not written in the book. It says also Hashem will bring upon you. What is any, when it says the words gam kol choli v'chol maka, when it says any sickness that's referred to in addition to these curses that's mentioned in the book of Dvarim, it says that this alludes to also, this is also the numerical value of also adds up to 100. Meaning to say it's and when we say the words any, it's not the numerical value, it's any sickness or any curses, any additional illness or blows. Those two aspects are two additional curses that that equals a total of 100, which means there's a total of 198 curses plus these two is the total of 100. And 100 blessings that we recite each day. So it's trying to tell us that through us doing the 100 brachot, the blessings, the good things, the positive things, it actually protects us from these 100 terrible curses. So there's 98 that are written in Devarim, and then there's these additional two alludings to two additional curses, and that equals 100. So there's 100 curses, and it's telling us that by us reciting the 100 brachot daily, the reason why we do it is to protect us from also the 100 terrible curses that there are in Sefer Dvarim. Shabbos Yom Tov is, and on Shabbos and Yom Tov, also on a fast day, says like this: Shabbos and Yom Tov, and also on a fast day. That on those days we don't have the ability to do 100 blessings because it's Shabbos or it's Yom Tov or it's a fast day, which there's not food that you eat on a fast day. On Shabbos and Yom Tov, you don't have the mitzvahs that you have during the week, so we cannot say all the brachas that we would want to say. So what do we do? We are mashlim. We fulfill those mea brachot, the 100 blessings, by having in mind with the shliach tzibur, with the person, the chazan who's praying by the podium, while he recites and repeats the tefillot, by repeating the tefillot. And that equals a brichas akirim b'terah, and also to have in mind those that are saying the words, the blessings on the Torah, and the maftir, and we say amen after them, and also by blessings of blessings on Shabbos and festivals. The blessings that should be made up by the blessings of enjoyment, which is by food and drinks. Any extra foods or drinks that you're going to eat should also be counted. And if it's on a fast day, it should be the fragrances that a person eats, that a person smells on a fast day. Any questions? We welcome all our listeners, all our viewers. Like I said, we're on YouTube Live, and for those that don't know, it's our Chabad YouTube channel that we have classes there already, an array of classes throughout the year, as well as now, especially these Halachah classes just became live on YouTube as well. We're holding by paragraph 8. Paragraph 8. And again in chapter 6. Any bracha that a person hears from his friend, I hope they hear us on our YouTube channel, because I have this mic on me. I did test it before. Any blessing that a person hears from his fellow, when he says the words Baruch Atah Hashem, the person, when he hears that by his friend, he should answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. And when his friend finishes the blessing, he has to answer the words Amen. What does Amen mean? You ever ask yourself a question, what does the word Amen mean? So he says, by you saying the word Amen to your friend's Baruch, you're saying it's true. It's true. You should have in mind, in his heart, you should have intent. That what? By his friend saying the blessing, he's saying back that it's true, the bracha that his friend is saying, the one who's blessing it. And I believe also that it's real. And those blessings that we also have some tefillot, there's these special prayers in them. For example, Shmona Esrei, the Amidah, the blessings that we say by standing quietly. And they're the longer prayers because they have a full prayers to them. It's not just a bracha. It's a bracha, but it has at the beginning of it, it has a whole prayer before the end, before the bracha that comes with it. So those ones, from atochonen la'adam das. If you look in the Siddur, till hamach zishchinatol l'tzion, and also the bracha of sim shalom, he should be mechaven. A person should have in mind ba'amiris amen l'shnei dvar. When he says amen to those blessings, he should have in mind two things: that embassy, habracha, the blessing is true, and that emes hu habracha v'yiratzu sheyamnu hadvarim b'mehera, and then also the whole tefillah, the whole prayer that he just said, the person said, should be fulfilled quickly. The Kaddish, and when we're talking about Kaddish, we're talking about when a person says the Kaddish. What is the Kaddish? The Kaddish is a prayer for the future. It's not a praise. He's saying Yiskadal. We're asking that it should be raised, it should go higher. Yiskadal Shmei Rabba. The God's name should be great. It's a prayer for the future. We're asking that it should continue being that way. So what is he having intent when he says Amen? That it should actually be fulfilled. That he should have in mind. The reciting Amen only matter come true quickly. That it should be fulfilled quickly. We're holding by paragraph 9, and we're holding by chapter 6, paragraph 9. Any questions? What if the person who's hearing is in a place where he's not allowed to interrupt? He's not allowed to answer Amen. You should not say then Baruch Hu Baruch Shema or Amen. He said he should not say Baruch Hu. If one who hears the blessing is at a place where he's not allowed to interrupt. Baruch Hu Baruch Shema. He should not say the bracha Baruch Hu Baruch Shema when he hears the name of Hashem. And similarly, also Imhu Shemea bracha. He's listening to the blessing. That he also had to fulfill his obligation by hearing it. It wasn't just that he was just being nice to say Amen or to say Baruch Hu Baruch Shema, but he actually had to fulfill the mitzvah through this. Should have taken that it had to be considered as if he did it himself. For example, the brachas of Shofar or the brachot of Megillah. So he still he should not say the bracha Baruch Hu Baruch Shema upon hearing the name of Hashem in that blessing. Does that have a hefsek b'emtza brachas? Because that would constitute an interruption in the middle of the blessing. So basically, he's saying there's two things. If a person is in a place where he can't interrupt, he's not allowed to say Baruch Hu Baruch Shema. Blessed be his name when he says God's name. There's also another thing, that if you're trying to fulfill the mitzvah by listening to the person saying the blessing, by you answering Baruch Hu Baruch Shema, you're interrupting, and that is your mitzvah. You can't interrupt in your mitzvah, so you shouldn't either. Interestingly, would you believe it? If this is the way you want to fulfill the mitzvah from this person, nothing to do with the fact that you can't interrupt. You're in a place where you can't interrupt. Let's say you're able to interrupt, but because this is the tefillah, this is the bracha that you're being fulfilled by this person. It's being fulfilled for you, especially for you, especially for whoever is here, whatever it was, whoever it may be. But the person, especially that individual that wants to fulfill the mitzvah through this person, should not say Baruch Hu Baruch Shema, because it's like he's interrupting in fulfilling the mitzvah. That was all about Baruch Hu Baruch Shema. Now, what about Amen? In regards to answering Amen, at the end of the blessing, say Amen, right? We just finished saying. So, if he is standing where he's not allowed to interrupt, right? We said if he was in that type of situation, it says we'll let you know that law then. Later, he'll mention it. However, to fulfill a mitzvah, it's obvious. If he has to fulfill a mitzvah, he has to say Amen. Then the blessing. But if he's in a place that he can't answer, so he's going to mention that later. Tzartlis are made. We're holding by paragraph 10. Sorry, 1 second. about that. Okay. Paragraph 10. Certainly, he has to be very careful. He has to say, pronounce the word Amen properly. He shouldn't say main. Sounds like main. He should say Amen. He should say the full word. He shouldn't swallow the aleph of Amen. And at the same time, he also shouldn't swallow the nun. He shouldn't say Amen. Amen. And the nun is like, you don't hear it. Amen. You should hear the You shouldn't say Amen, Amen, and you don't hear the nun. The gam yizar moed. You should also be very careful. Take very carefully on Amen. You shouldn't answer Amen. You have to be careful that the person who's saying the blessing finish the whole bracha. And then you could say Amen. People say sometimes Amen too quick and didn't even finish. Because that's considered Amen. That's snatched away Amen. You also shouldn't delay in answering after the person finishes. Amen Yisema, because that's considered an orphaned Amen. Ella, what should he do? Take it right when the person finishes saying the blessing. He should answer Amen. He should answer Amen. Like a mensch. He should also shouldn't raise his voice higher than the person who said the blessing. Because it says, God declares the greatness of Hashem with me, and let us exalt his name together. Do it in the same tone. Holding by paragraph 11. Amen. Person should not say Amen on his own blessing. Only in the grace after meals when he says Amen, says the words Amen at Beni Berachim of Yerushalayim Amen. Even though he's saying it himself. Even if the person is saying the bracha in the same exact timing as the person who's repeating he should not respond Amen. However, but if he's saying the same blessing, he shouldn't say Amen. But if they're both saying it totally different blessings, and they ended at the same time, he could say Amen because he's saying Amen to a different person's blessing. He's saying it on the person who's repeating, the Chazan who's repeating, even though they finish saying blessings at the same time, so it's like he's saying his own Amen, but because it's a different blessing, the person who's repeating the tefillah, then his blessing, he could say it. He could say Amen. It's not like he's saying Amen on his own blessing. If they were saying the same exact blessing, and then he said Amen, so then it's like he's saying it on his own. When they finish together, it's like he said it on his own blessing. However, one concludes the blessing of Ishtabach. Or at the end, right before the Amidah, or sorry, Haluka by after Hal, where it ends. And they both ended. He ended this. And he ended it at the exact same time as the Chazan. Even though it's the same exact thing that they're ending together, they're ending the same blessings together. The Chazan that's doing repetition of the tefillah, he's actually saying it. He's actually saying the exact same blessings of these things that we just mentioned, as well as this individual. And there, perhaps you would say, if they finished at the same time, he shouldn't say Amen because it's the exact same blessing. Here he says Einim Gamkin Amen. Here he would answer Amen, even though it's the same blessing they completed. Why? Because many of the authorities hold one responds to these blessings even after he himself recites them. Meaning to say that they hold that, in general, let's say you were saying these blessings yourself. There's authorities that hold that you should say Amen. So if you're doing it with the Shliach Tibur, the Chazan, even though you might have thought, okay, so you're saying Amen for the Chazan, and when you finish together, and we said because you're saying the same blessing, maybe you shouldn't, because he also finished the exact same blessing himself, and he doesn't say Amen on his own. Because this type of blessing, there might have been anyway, when you're on your own, you might have had to say Amen. So therefore, now also you could say Amen, and it has nothing to do with the fact, and there's no issue where he's saying Amen on his own blessing, because there might have been a reason to say Amen on these types of blessings, like those authorities hold. And that's why they would consider that it's important. And because of those authorities, therefore we say in this type of situation, he should say Amen. Even though in general, when you say exact same prayer as the Chazan in other prayers, you do not say, when you finish together the same blessing, you do not say Amen, because it ends up being that you're like saying Amen on your own blessing. But because this Amen might have been something you should be saying on your own blessing, so therefore it's no big deal. So in general, we should just know that we don't follow this opinion. It's just some authorities hold that way. We don't, when we say Ishtabach and when we say the Hallel and these types of things, we do not, or at the end of before Amidah, Shem Yisrael, Am Yisrael Ad, we do not say Amen. In general, it's just those certain authorities held that way. But because there is such authorities, therefore in this type of situation, we could say that he's saying Amen on the Chazans, because there were those that would say perhaps it's no big deal that he's saying Amen on his own blessing. Any questions? We're holding by paragraph now, chapter 7, and it is the laws of Birchat HaShachar. We will conclude a little earlier today, and we hope to see you again, maybe even still tomorrow. We will keep you posted about our Torah studies. Tomorrow's class will be about a portion of the week, and from all different places in Torah, and also from all different commentaries and Kabbalah, etc. And it's very nicely broken up, and for those that have already been by our classes in JLI Torah studies, something to anticipate and really to enjoy. And you're welcome also in person. We will, like I said, keep you posted about the exact timing for that. Hopefully it should be at 8:30, and we will go live as well. So I'm going to start chapter 7. It's important to start the new chapter, and we'll continue this chapter because it is a little long. It actually is not so long, so maybe we'll finish this chapter today. The laws of the blessings in the morning when you wake up. When he says the words "lasok b'divrei Torah," there's a blessing to that he says to engross ourselves in the words of Torah. After he finishes that blessing, there's the Halachah authorities have disagreement. If the one who hears that blessing should say Amen or not. Yes, there are those that say Shein kan siyam bracha. That there is not a ending to the blessing. And because that is not the end of the blessing, he continues, but rather the next words, sweet and please, are the continuation of the previous blessing of Lasa B'Divrei Torah, and it didn't end. So being so, to say Amen, it's not necessary yet. And it's all, there are those commentaries that say it's all one blessing. Okay, and Ein is Amen, you shouldn't answer Amen. But there are those that say the Khan, Husima Bracha, that after Lasa B'Divrei Torah, that is the end of the blessing. And V'harav no bracha cheres, and the V'harav no, this next part is already a new blessing. So if you have to say Amen after that, after last B'Divrei Torah. And therefore, what do we do? So how do we? When do we answer Amen? Do we answer Amen? Do we not answer Amen? Reciting this blessing, because we're not sure. Therefore, because of those that say yes and those that say no, and therefore he should say it quietly, and therefore the person will inherit. And that his friend should inherit, and then he'll have a question: should I, should not, based on these authorities. Better you say quietly, and no one will hear it, and no one will say Amen. Interesting that that's the way to solve the problem. But yeah, that is what the halacha tells us. Base, paragraph 2 of chapter 7. And don't forget, we are studying in these beautiful art scroll, Kitzur Shulchan Aruch edition, beautiful translation, Hebrew and English translated, with also commentaries, notes, footnotes, etc. Very, very worthwhile to buy this set. A very nice set for your library. And we thank the Latka family for this beautiful set that we use a lot here at Chabad, both from the communities, or from the community itself, and by the rabbi and rabbis. We have been using it very, very often. We're both giving classes right now on Halachah, and it's being used very much, and that's the important thing. The important thing is to use the books. Yeah, otherwise, what are they for, if not to use them? Paragraph 2. Paragraph 2. Birkas Anisin Sechvivina v'lo yivarech at yarayim. The bracha of Hanosein la Sechvi Bina, the one who gives the heart understanding, to distinguish between day and night. He shouldn't say this blessing until daybreak, because then he gives us the understanding. If it's still nighttime, then to be able to differentiate between night and day, you have to have also day. So you have to make sure it's daytime already, so you could say the bracha properly. So you should wait until daybreak. That's paragraph 2. Paragraph 3 says, the blessing of Pokech Ivrim gives sight to the blind. So maybe you might say, fine, so a person who's blind should not say the blessing, because he gives sight to those that can't see. But if he's a blind person, he doesn't see. But it will also be recited by the blind person, because he benefits from the gift of sight, because other people are showing him how to go. And therefore, because other people are showing him, that's called giving sight to the blind. Somehow they have sight. Are they seeing through their eyes necessarily? No. Or some are also to a certain extent. But especially if they can't, you might say, fine, so they don't see. So why are we saying giving sight? Giving sight by the means of someone else. I mean, they're showing them the way through those other people, and that's what we thank Hashem for. And therefore, the blind man could say it. If one first recited the blessing of Zokef Kefufim, the one who straightens the bent, that blessing. Before reciting the blessing of Mater Asurim, releases the bound. So then he shouldn't say afterwards the one who releases the bound. Why? Because when you say straighten the band, it already incorporates releasing the bound. So if you said releasing the bound first, so then you could still say to straighten the band, because you released the bound, but it doesn't necessarily include straightening the band. But when we say releasing the bound. But if you said that he straightened the bent, then because it includes also releasing the bound, therefore there's no reason to say it. Why is that? Why would you say that by saying straightening the bent includes releasing the bound? And if you don't have to say it. Because when you say straightening the bent, it includes the ability to stand and erect to release man's limbs, and that's like releasing, when you say straightening the bent, is like releasing those that are bound. Because when you're bent, you're bound. After the words after hearing the words of that's me, who removes sleep from my eyes and slumber from my eyelids. When you hear those words, you don't say amen afterwards. Because it wasn't the end of a blessing, like we said. When there's no end of blessing, you don't say amen. That would be hiratzing. Start saying the hiratzing. And that's the continuation of this. That's didn't end yet, this blessing. Be your will is also part of this blessing, how it continues. And then where's the end? That's the end of the blessing. And there, who bestows beneficial kindness upon his people Israel, that's where it ends. And that's only where you could say amen. You don't say amen by the words by removing slumber, sleep of the eyes, sleep from my eyes and slumber from my eyes. You don't say amen there. But you say it only after one who bestows kindness upon his people Israel. Holding by paragraph 5. Any questions? Hanir kol halayla. One who was awake all night. Even though he was awake all night, he still has to say in the morning all the morning blessings. Besides the blessing of the Netilas Yadayim regarding washing the hands, he doesn't have to say he doesn't say the blessing because he was up all night. Also the blessing of my God, my soul. There also he doesn't say. Why? Because he didn't have that sleep where his soul went away. Where his soul went up. And also regards removing sleep. He should neither say because he never slept. Similarly, also the blessings of study of Torah. Yesh safek, there are those that there is a doubt if you should say the blessing or not. Why? Because he was up all night, so it's like a continuation from yesterday's blessing. That's why it's important, because there's a question if he should or not. He should listen to someone else and he should answer amen. So that way he doesn't have to say the blessing mamash. We're holding by paragraph 6. All the morning blessings in all the morning blessings that we're talking about here. If he didn't say them before he davens, before he prays the actual prayers, the services, he could also say them after he finished praying the morning services. Besides one bracha, besides the bracha of washing his hands. Why? Why can't he say that after the morning services? Because there are those that hold washing the hands in the morning. Is Niskam Shema Tefillah was instituted specifically. We mentioned this already prior when we were talking about the laws of washing your hands. We mentioned that what's one of the reasons why we wash our hands. That second washing is in order to daven. Besides the tumah and the impurities, it's also for davening. Because there's those that hold that the reason why we wash our hands is for tefillah, for to daven, to pray, like we had in the Beis Hamikdash before they would do the service, they would wash their hands. So now, once the prayers are over, there's no reason anymore. It was only meant to be done before, and therefore the prayer, that bracha of Netilas Yadayim, is not necessary if you already prayed. There's no reason for this. After one who's prayed, there's no longer a place for this. And he says also, and also l'kain neshama, except also the blessing from l'kain neshama, my God, my soul. That also he shouldn't say. If he prayed already. Why? Because Shekar Yatzor, he already fulfilled the obligation to return his soul. Where did he fulfill the obligation to give praise for returning his soul? He said it already in the prayers. The prayers of the actual services, he says those type of prayers of thanking God for returning his soul. He doesn't have to say now, it's like superfluous. Doesn't have to say now after that, afterwards, if he didn't say it before. So all the other blessings he could say, but these two, washing hands and like kind of showing like on my soul, those two, it's not necessary for him to say afterwards. The other ones he could say after he prayed already. Like he says, because this one, my God, my soul, he shouldn't have to say again because he said something along those lines by thanking God in the Machaya Mason prayer where he revives the dead. We say in the Shemona Esrei prayer. Okay, we're holding by paragraph 7. And the bracha of Torah, if he didn't say it before the davening, there were questions. The rabbis argued if you should say it after the tefillah. So there are those that say after you pray the services. The Yeshem, if you didn't say before, the Yeshem, there are those that say that afterwards you shouldn't say it anymore. Why? Because he already fulfilled that prayer of the blessing of the Torah by reciting blessing of Avarabba with an abundant love of Avasolim eternal. Before the Kriyashma, there is a bracha like this. For that blessing, it contains what the blessing of Torah also contains within it. It says like there, it says the same to being lahavin, lahaskul, shmoya, lumod, lamed. So it says that we should learn, we should love, we should understand, we should listen, we should learn, and we should teach. So therefore, because that blessing also has it in it, so therefore there's authorities that say, if he didn't say it before, because he said in the middle of the prayer services, such a type of prayer, like the prayer of blessing on Torah, there's no reason to say it again. But there are those, however, others that say, the Ava Rabbah, this blessing that we say before Kriyat Shema, doesn't really have in it the blessing of the Torah. It doesn't exempt you from the obligation of blessing of the Torah. Unless he studies Torah, he says, when does this blessing really have significant connection to the learning, to the obligation? If he actually went immediately after the praise and studied. Saying therefore, so he's basically saying that this other opinion holds that this blessing, special blessing of Ava Rabbah, which includes in it learning Torah, etc. Before the Kriyat Shema. So one opinion said that it includes in it the blessing of Torah because of it talks about learning Torah, etc. And therefore, after he prayed, if he still didn't say the blessing of Torah, this was fulfilled the mitzvah by that blessing, and he doesn't have to say it again afterwards. However, the other opinion says that would only be the case that blessing before Kriyat Shema has something substantial for Torah. If he went and learned Torah right away, then that blessing really would help. But because he doesn't go right away and learn Torah, so therefore he needs to say a new blessing, basically. That's reason. And that's what this other opinion says. And therefore he would have to say the blessing again. So what do we do based on that? Based on these two opinions. And therefore, that's why we should be very careful to begin with, to say the blessing of the Torah before the prayers. If something happened and he forgot, he didn't say it before the tefillah, you should learn something quickly right after the tefillah, after the prayers. If you forgot to do it before, then right after he finishes all the prayer services, he should quickly learn something. And that way he will fulfill the blessing, will have something substantial in it of that blessing of Kriyat Shema, based on this opinion. And what if he forgot to learn something right away? Says he still, if he didn't learn something right away, according to that opinion, so then it doesn't help. But nevertheless, he's saying he still doesn't have to say if he forgot to learn something right away. As I also then misfake because of this doubt, he shouldn't have to say the bracha of Birchas Torah again, even though there's that opinion that said if he didn't learn right away, then that bracha before Kriyat Shema didn't really help for a blessing, and therefore he needs to say a blessing. But because it's a doubt, and we say safek brachot when we're not sure, should he have to say? Because the other opinion says he didn't have to, because that blessing is a good blessing. So because there's a doubt, and we say by brachot, so according to one opinion, it means he's going to have to say a blessing. According to another opinion, he didn't have to say a blessing. And when it comes to brachot, if there's a doubt of brachot, we go to be lenient because you don't want to just say brachot for no reason. That's why he's saying he still shouldn't say a blessing, even if he didn't learn anything. And right after, he still shouldn't say a blessing because maybe it was a good blessing. Maybe that Kriyat Shema before Kriyat Shema was good enough. Paragraph 8. If they called him up for an aliyah of the Torah, before he said the blessing on Torah, right? They Yamod, they say Yamod, and they're calling the guy up, and he didn't say before he said the bracha of Torah. He still didn't say the words of the bracha of brachat Torah. So we're asking if he could quickly say the bracha before. Before he goes up to the Torah, before all the private Torah blessings, and also to say at least pasuk echad, for example, yivarechecha. Yasakin, so he should do that. Meaning, he should also, if he's able to, he should also say the additional blessings besides the blessings of Torah, if he's able to before he goes up to the Torah, which that's a verse that's normally recited after Torah blessings. That he says usually daily. So he should also do that. He should do that too. And then he should go up and he should say the blessing there. But if he cannot have the time to quickly do all the Torah blessings if he didn't do them, and that he should go just like this to the Torah, and without saying this privately, because by the Torah he's actually saying that he's saying that God chose us with the Torah. You should only say, repeat the blessing afterwards, which is Asher Kedishanu al Divrei Sora, and then Vaharevna. Continue the blessing of Vaharevna, sweeten please until the conclusion, which is Lama Yisrael, to his nation Israel. And you should say Yivarech, meaning to say, basically, if he has no choice, basically he should just say the Shebach Habana that we say before. Afterwards, he won't recite that because he said it already, and then he'll say all the rest of the blessings that isn't necessary, pretty much. And he'll say also the conclusion of Yivarecha, which comes after the Birchat Torah, which is the blessing of the Kohanim, which we mentioned before that he should really do, which he should really do if he can, also before he goes up to the Torah, if he didn't do it yet. We're holding by chapter 8, which talks about the laws of things that are forbidden once the sun rises, once it becomes daytime, until a person davens, until a person prays. There are things that are forbidden for a person until he prays in the morning, from after daylight, and he's going to teach us those laws. And one of them, which are very common, is not to eat till you pray. And the reason is because we want that a person should not. In general, also we learn in general, we say that a person should not do things also before the mitzvah. And because there's a mitzvah that comes to him, he shouldn't engage in other things. There's that aspect. But then there's another thing, especially by prayers in the morning, is that when you're coming to ask God for things, you should come to God in a way that you need. When you come all zat and all full, it's wrong. And that's why it's the wrong thing to do. He's going to mention that also in the law. But that's a very common thing, and that's why I'm just mentioning it. It's one of the things, one of the good examples of things that are forbidden, which is to eat. So you shouldn't be full. And when you're asking for things from God, it's like just like you're all zat and everything. You don't really ask in the proper way. But however, just to mention that in Chabad, one of the Rebbetzins of Chabad, she was weak, and therefore she was given the opportunity to eat before davening, because as it was said there, better to eat in order to daven than daven to eat. And a person is going to be so weak or failing in today's day and age, where we have a harder time in our society also. We're not as strong perhaps as the other generations in terms of we're in a different time and everything, and people have a harder time to stay focused, etc. When it comes to prayers, and sometimes also people are physically weaker. So therefore, we learned from that scenario that because, like by the Rebbetzin, she was given the right to eat, so she should have strength to pray, and she should stay focused. The same way also in Chabad circles today, you'll find that before prayers there is coffee, there's cake, like on Shabbat, you have here coffee and cake, and we advertise it even, which is not common by other sectors, other Orthodox synagogues necessarily. You won't find anything, you won't find even a tea furnace or anything, or coffee and cake around before the prayers end. Reason being is because the straight halacha is that you're not meant to eat before davening, because you have to come to davening and daven to Hashem without a full stomach. But we don't take it to that extent. We don't take it to the extent that you don't even take a drink or take a little bit of like cake in your mouth. We say because we, at the same time, as much as you have to come humble to Hashem, but at the same time also you can't come to Hashem and not be focused, and also be weak. So therefore, we learned from the Rebbetzin that it's important to be strong when you daven, but also like she said, beser essen. So lib davenin, be davenin to lib essen. It's better to eat in order to daven than daven to eat. Because unfortunately, in today's day and age, what's happening is people are davening without eating, as much as we want to come humble to God, but at the same time, they're thinking about the food afterwards. And it's probably better off that you even had something a little bit, so you're a little bit more focused and you're able to be ragua and calm and daven. It's better to eat before. Now, we're not going to eat meals, and that's why it's customary not to wash and not to go and have crazy meals and everything before. That is definitely like the halacha says, because you should come humble to God. But that's where we make like what we call a pshara, a compromise, where we don't compromise halacha, God forbid, but at the same time we say don't eat a meal, but those that we learned from a holy tzaddik, that at least just a drink or something small, it's important in fact to have. So you should be focused and not think about the food the whole time. And that's why in our circles you'll notice that that's even emphasized. So that's just a little bit of a preface to the next lesson, which we'll learn next week in chapter 8. Things that are forbidden to do from daylight until we pray the morning services, and that's chapter 8. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night. Have a Shabbat Shalom. It's Wednesday today. Just to remind everyone, we're welcoming our my parents-in-law, Chaya's parents, the Rabbi and Rebbetzin residents, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Vogel, to our Chabad community. This Shabbos, it's going to be, we'll hear nice words of wisdom, a nice Kiddush. Will be very, very, very nice and enjoyable, with a big Kiddush co-sponsored by the Latka family. We're looking for more sponsors to make it bigger and better. If anyone would like to chip in, please let us know. That would be very kind, and thank you. And also, if anyone would be able to be part of this special, also Shabbat Hayechid, the last portion of the first book. It's very special when we say chazak, when it's chazek, we say be strong, to go from strength to strength. So we're blessing everyone. It's a very special Shabbos for that reason as well. That everyone should come together. So if there's anyone that would like to be part of the minyan and help out with the minyan, that should be a strong and big minyan, please let the rabbi know that you'll be here. It's very important that we have a very nice big minyan and a big celebration. an enjoyable Shabbat together. This Shabbos, Saturday, 9:30 is the class with cake and coffee, like we mentioned, and homemade goodies by Chaya. She just baked them fresh, and as well as, like I said, tea and coffee. And we'll pray at 10 o'clock, and not a long prayer service. And we'll have a big Kiddush, a hot Kiddush thereafter, together with the Rabbi and Rabbits and Vogel and community. So we're looking forward to that. Also, it's the end of the year. We mentioned it yesterday. We're going to mention it again. If anyone would like to give kind contributions towards the Chabad end of year contributions that are tax deductible, now is the time. So we could get into that. So we could lock it in into the tax season. Make sure you could file it your taxes for deductible, and will help us gain fuel for the new year. So we could continue all the things we do and give back to the community. And that's why especially those that benefited from what we do here all year round. It's been a great year, 2018. And for those that benefited, please show your kind support back so we can give back to you. So this is like a boomerang. Whatever you're giving is coming back, and plus you get multiplied blessings by giving tzedakah, by tithing. For those that don't do meiser yet, it's important. It's a big mitzvah from Torah to tithe, to give 1/10 of your earnings. If you want to know more about it, you could talk to me. For those that have matching programs in their workplace when they don't know about it, so check it out, find out if you have anything like that, and it could be also very helpful for the organization, for Chabad. And if anyone would like to be also a matchers in our campaign that we will be doing for the end of the year, please let us know. And in any way that you could financially support the Chabad throughout the year, Chai Club membership is really important and helpful, and we thank all our kind sponsors in 2018 in general, and for the Chai Club members on a monthly basis, and it's something that's very important and very helpful. So if anyone wants to be a Chai Club member, multiples of 18 on a monthly recurring basis is something very special and very meaningful, and has a major impact on what we do, and we really appreciate it. It means a lot to us, all the support that everyone's been giving us in all these different ways. And also, of course, the volunteer efforts. If anyone wants to volunteer in any way, please let us know, reach out to us. Sometimes maybe we don't say, but it's always needed. There's always things, and a lot of times we do say, and we could use more volunteer efforts and help. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for updates about the end of year campaign as well. And you're welcome to reach out for more details. And thank you again. Have a good night. Great rest of the week. This is Rabbi Mendy Hecht of Chabad of Forest Hills North. Thank you again for watching.